Monday, April 19th. More social distancing today. I have got a small pack and I am just about ready to go. And I've got some interesting stuff in here. I've got a shelter, a chair, and a fishing rod and some water. Cook me some tea. If I catch a fish, I may, well, shit, I didn't bring anything to cook it with. Maybe I'll clean it out here. First thing, I got to get in front of this storm. I think I've got about 20 minutes before this storm hits. It was high 40s this morning. I didn't want to get out in that. And it was raining. Wow, it's been really stormy today. But I wanted to wait till warmed up a little bit before I got out in it. I like storms. You can hear the thunder in the background, so it's coming. Maybe I can get down to the river before the deluge hits, because I want to get my shelter up minimum, because I don't want to have to come back because I'm soaking wet. So there's a new tree down, and there's nothing wrong with this tree. It's alive. So there's apparently this hillside gets hit really hard with winds because there is so many trees down in here, and I just assumed all this time that they were down because they were dead, and a few winds came along. Dead trees fall, especially pines, man. These things fall all the time. But here's a bunch of new deads in here, and this is probably since the last storm. I'm not really afraid of the weather most of the time, but when you see things that are freaky like this, tend to get your attention because, what's the point in dying when you don't have to? So the rain's about to hit, looks like, and I'm not even close to where I want to be. I want to get down to the river if I can. If I get soaked to the bone, I'm going back because I don't want to freeze, and this rain jacket's the only thing I've got on that's going to protect me. So crotch, legs get wet, boots fill up with water, I'm done. I just go back to the house. But hopefully I get down there and get set up, maybe even close to the river. Throw a line in. If it starts raining real bad, I'll get back under the tarp. Yeah, I think the bottom is about to drop out. There's thunder overhead. So I think I'm just going to hit this point up here. My plan was to go down this trail here, down to the river, but I think at this point, I think it's just smarter to get a shelter up and just hang out and watch the rain. I mean, that was plan A. But then I thought, well, I'm going to be close to the river, grab the fishing rod, see what happens. But now I think it's just a smarter thing to do. If I want to hang out at all, I think I'm going to get wet any other way. I think I'm just going to get wet. So I think we're going to pick us a spot here. While I was setting it out, it didn't take me too long. Didn't get that wet. Front of my pants got wet a little bit towards the ankle, but I think I'm okay. It's not cold. I think it warmed up a few degrees. It's probably up in the 60s maybe now, so I think I'll be okay. I think I'm gonna sit and chill and watch the rain a little bit. Hell, that may be the only storm there is, but I'm a ways from the river. Looks like I'm 150 feet straight down from here. How about this? How about this little, I call these campgrounds, but they're not campgrounds. They're places to hike in and cook your hot dogs. I'm surprised they don't have any picnic tables. 15 minutes ago, the clouds were 2 miles deep in the sky, and now there's actually sun shining out here. It's not complete sunshine, but it's the sun's peeking through. It's just kind of bizarre. This is bizarre weather. But spring weather in the south is weird. Yeah, it's always kind of unexpected. You don't know what to expect. You're probably going to see some rain every week. Temperatures fluctuate wildly. Just, I think it was a week ago. So a week ago it was in the mid to high 80s. And now, you know, it's 40s at night, and maybe it might get up to 70 this week. I think that was just a single patch of open sky. Just the dark clouds and the thunder is back. I'm gonna get me some tea going before the next round comes in. I'm a little disappointed I didn't get to fish today, but I can come fish anytime. Just seemed like it would be a lot cooler fishing during a storm. Really, if you think about it, what do I know about cool? Probably not much. I'm sure I can get hundreds of people to testify to the fact that I'm not cool, so why am I even trying? I think the last time I tried to be cool was probably in high school, maybe in college. I just don't remember trying that hard. I think I'd given up in high school. I think I wish there was some film of me in high school being such a turd. I bet I would enjoy it. I think most people would be horrified to see themselves in high school. If they were anything, if most people were like me in high school or anything like me, I'm sure that there is a lot. I have a lot in common with a lot of people in okay, can't remember. What I was trying to say is I'm sure I've got a lot in common with people in high school. Their high school experience is probably not too far from mine. I may have been a little bit more weird than most people. I can't tell if this has got caffeine in it or not. So, little bitty period of sunshine and almost immediately, just as I was making a big deal out of it, it kind of went away. So I'm going to tie up my little flaps here. I like being able to see out in nature, and flaps and doors spoil that. So I don't know that I noticed this the first time I came out here. Maybe I did, but that's a nice little fireplace right there. This would be a good place to come out in the woods at night. I wonder if anybody else comes out here during the week. I'm not really interested in the weekends, but might be fun at night. She said. So, when I was asking about seeking opinions and guidance on cooking, because I know there's people out there that cook on the trail, on the road, and I'm just wanting to throw that out there to see who's doing anything differently than me. And I got a lot of responses about stoves like this, and I've been using these stoves like this. Actually, before this, it was the liquid fuel containers. You had to pump those up. I had one of those back, golly, what was that, late 80s, 90s? Anyway, been using them for a while, so it's always funny that people, are you kidding me? Tell me I'm stepping on the damn, oh man. There it is. Gotta be careful with these things. That's why I bring these things, because I know I can light a fire and boil some water. This is an emergency setup, just as easy as anything else. I'm stuck out in the middle of nowhere and I don't have a fresh water source. I can boil some water as long as I've got something to start this fire with. So I used to carry a lot of lighters and stuff like that. Those things fail, and I guess this thing could probably fail too, because that's really all this is just a spark, and this little flint that's in here could get wet. So I don't know, I've just always depended on this. And I could throw a spark and be away from the fire. I don't have to get up close to it. Anyway, just always had this. I think at least as long as I've been doing these isobutane bottles, I've had this. Probably before that. Who knows? I don't know. I think this actually went on one of my, this probably went on one of those pump stoves that I had, and bolted onto the side, and I just hung on to it. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm old. That's been 3 decades, longer than 3 decades ago. Just kind of, it's all hazy. And it's pretty quick. Funny thing is, I've even started fires with that guy right there. So, there's a lot to be said about having turn this down a little bit. Less hissing, please. There's a lot to be said about equipment that you can rely on. I think that's what I'm trying to say now, is there's some things that I really dig because I can count on them. And this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, what the hell's burning on here? The sides, the bottom, yeah, that's what it is. Maybe I should talk less and do more. I think my titanium was about to ignite. I get to talking and I forget myself. Let's get that titanium flavor out of there. So, I don't know too many people that carry camelbacks outside of a backpack, but this is my go-to thing because it squishes around. I don't like it. I see a lot of hikers carrying Nalgene bottles, and that's apparently that's the thing, is Nalgene. Well, this is my thing. Camelbacks are they've just been my thing for 20, 30 years. Just because they work. And I don't have any other good reason for it. They just work. And I like stuff that works well and I can depend on, and it's really hard for me to transition. But what I was saying earlier is, I think my fire's out, y'all. Nope. Just can't hear it over the rain. I think what I was trying to say earlier is I have been asking for opinions on cooking methods. Mainly because, I mean, these things are great for boiling water. And I assume, I've never really cooked with them outside of pouring hot water into a boiling bag, but I assume they might be okay for cooking too. But if you're boiling water, these things will last a long time. And I think that's why it's really convenient. It's really a small, man, something's really catching fire under there. It's really a small package. Those little bitty bottles they're just really convenient, and they'll last you a long time, several days. So, but the fresh food cooking thing that I'm trying to do, I don't want to have to depend on fuel. In other words, I don't want to have to depend on something I can't find in the woods. And I guess if I'm in the desert, I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to have to carry some kind of fuel. But I want to come up with a good method of cooking in forested areas. And this is where I spend most of my time. I don't spend a lot of time out in the desert. And when I do, I can figure that out as I go. Like, my preferred camping method is a hammock. If I plan to be in the desert, I probably should carry some kind of a tent because there's no trees to tie a hammock to in the desert, or they're very rare at least. Ooh, man, this is coming along. It looks like, well, I thought there was some steam in there. Maybe if I leave it alone. Yeah, I almost sound like I'm blithering now because I'm trying to stay focused on the task at hand while I'm talking, and I'm just I used to be able to multitask, but I don't think I'm very good at it anymore. I think my multitasking time is done. So have been using these silicone cups for a while. One even comes with my titanium cook bottle, but it's always covered in soot. So, I mean, worst case scenario, I could clean this up and use this as a cup. But this works fine, and it collapses, and it's hardly any space, and weighs almost nothing. There's almost no bulk, so that's typically what I use. And I think I'm going to douse a couple of tea bags in here, and I think I'm going to go with the. I do have another salted caramel in here. Yay! I guess I'm just not in the mood for coffee right now. I've got these. I think these are Folgers packs. Coffee, so I can get rid of well, I probably won't get rid of them. These awful Nestle's Taster Choice. This tastes like, I don't know, it's kind of a mixture between rubber tire, like boiled inner tube and poison ivy. I don't know. It's not good though. The key with this thing, since it's all your weight is up so high, I wonder. It's starting to get pretty warm in there. All your weight is up high, and you're on this little tiny platform that's not really a good platform. As you can see, it's kind of like a spinning top that's not spinning. It's, you know, it's very top heavy, and you got to find pretty flat ground to have this thing work for you. So it would be really disappointing. I don't remember ever tipping one of these things over, and I'm shocked that I never have, because I usually set them up on in a place like this. Probably should just dig me a hole, you know, trench out some kind of little hole and stick it in. But yeah, never seen disaster yet. So, oh wait, I got a chamomile. I don't want that. I want some caffeine, baby. I think that's my only salted caramel. How the hell? Oh, it's chamomile vanilla. That's why it's in there. I bet I have got another one of these salted caramels in here somewhere. If I had the one, I need my caffeine so bad that I'm gonna swap out for another Earl Grey, which is black tea. Black tea and orange combined with a little bit of salted caramel. I wonder if that's gonna work. We're getting pretty close, I think. I think on high it's supposed to boil water in about 4 or 5 minutes. I don't always put it on high. Ooh, a little steamy breath. So I was telling you I got my pants a little bit wet earlier. It's warmed up enough, it doesn't really bother me. It's got to be close to 70 degrees out here. I didn't think it was going to get up to 70 today till later. But I guess that storm brings in the warm, and then the cold pushes it out. At least that's my experience. So that's Earl Grey. That's salted caramel. Man, it's huge. This one smells like ice cream. It's so awesome. There we go. All right. Stove off. Tea bags in. Down to the ground for a little bit, increased stability. Now maybe I should have just boiled it right here. I didn't know that was a nook. That looked relatively flat, so that's kind of what I went with. So this is going to be a stout cup of tea. So, what was I talking about earlier? Oh, reaching out to people for help, different ideas. I got a lot of responses with, hey, use one of these guys, or something similar to this. Makes me wonder if those people have ever cooked anything on one of these other than a boiling bag. I have yet to see anybody that said, oh, here's my skillet full of whatever, because really this flame is pretty tight. Most of the flame is right here, so I can't imagine trying to cook something on a skillet, especially with something that's this unstable. Man, this thing got cold. I think I may have lost a lot of fuel there. Anyway, the people that are making the recommendation I just wonder. My guess is that they probably didn't read the post. Here's my trouble. I think I posted this 2 or 3 times. My camping, keto cooking, camping stuff. I think I've asked for opinions or alternatives or anything like that, and I think a lot of times people don't read the post or don't watch the video. I don't see, number one, that I'm actually cooking fresh food. Number two, I'm looking for methods of cooking fresh food, not boiling water. So I wonder if either A, these people are not watching the videos, or they've never used one of these for anything other than boiling in a bag. My guess is probably a combination. There's probably some people that don't read, and then the other people that go, oh yeah, I cook with this all the time. Mountain House. That's not cooking, y'all. That's like putting lasagna in the microwave. It's not cooking. Anyway, I do appreciate responses. I just get frustrated sometimes because it's almost like, did you read the post? Did you read the description in the video? Did you watch the video? You know, maybe that's what I should do. I should have hey, if you got any questions or if you got any suggestions, leave me a comment below, and the suggestion is going to be very specific. And just see how many people don't listen to the suggestions. Oh, I'm not waiting till the end of the video. I've got a suggestion. This is really nice. I don't know if I actually have to have rain, because this little drizzling stuff, I think this is fine. Ooh, it's getting cold now. It is. The cold is moving through. And all I have to say is I'm not wet, so it's all good in the hood. So, I don't know how many tea folks there are out there. My whole life, childhood, adulthood, I think I may have drank hot tea 2 or 3 times. My step-grandfather was a tea guy. He was Canadian and British, so that was their thing. I'm pretty sure I had some tea maybe 1 or 2 times with him. And maybe 1 or 2 times with somebody else. But his wife, my grandmother, was a coffee gal. She gave me my first cup of coffee that I can remember when I was 5. And I thought it was pretty good because she doused it with, there must have been 2 or 3 tablespoons of sugar in my coffee. She wanted to make sure I drank some coffee. And she had one of those percolators you set on the eye and it percolates. Bubbles up through the top of the container, bubbles into the drip tray. Whatever the filter box, whatever the thing. Coarse ground coffee. And I wished I would have tasted what coffee tasted like back then, because I don't know. All I know, the coffee that I drank back then when I was a child was sweet. And that's all I know. I would have liked to have had something without unaltered. All right. I guess the question I was trying to ask is, steeping. You tea folks, I'm sure there's a few of you serious tea folks out there. How do you steep your tea? How long does it take you to steep? How long, or am I missing? I'm sure that I'm doing some kind of a really bad thing here, and I don't know what it is. Man, this smells so good. It's that salted caramel, man. It's Bigelow, salted caramel. It's I try new things, and I don't always drink caffeinated tea. I try not to to consume caffeine after 4 o'clock because I have a hard time sleeping if I do. I have friends that drink coffee at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I don't see how they do it. I would not be able to go to sleep. Or if I did, if I was completely tired, I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning like I do anyway. Oh, that's strong. Some strong tea. So is a strong flavored tea, like, that should probably have 1 bag in there. 1 tea bag, and I went doubled up. Probably, I think a full container would probably take 2 tea bags. A normal person would be able to drink that, but is this a faux pas? Did I steep it long enough? All you tea folks, did I steep it long enough? Is it wrong to have more than 1 tea bag in a cup? Like, there's probably another cup in there. Yeah, there's easily another cup in there. So really, that's probably a normal cup of tea. I don't know. You tea folks chime in. Let me know what you think, if I'm doing something wrong here. What I was trying to say earlier is, up until probably into my mid-40s, I did not drink tea if it wasn't sweet and iced. Occasionally I would drink unsweetened tea, but sweet tea was my thing. I mean, it's a southern thing, so sweet tea, that's what I grew up on. I didn't know that there was any other kind of tea. Kind of cool to listen to the birds out here. I've told this story several times to people, anybody that would listen. My fascination with rain, I know exactly where it comes from. It comes from my childhood. I think I was probably 7 or 8. First trip to Disney World, Florida. Just completely amazed. Everything was so wonderful. But there was one, I don't want to call it a ride, because it was basically you walk into the theater. And it's a small theater. It's a tiki hut. And I think that's the name of the attraction. That's what you should call it. Not a ride, but an attraction. The door had a next show at 2 o'clock, and it was so hot. I mean, Orlando, Florida, summer. Walking across, hot blacktop, just roasting. I can remember it's just so hot and humid and awful, other than the fact we're in paradise. And walk up to the door, next show, 2 o'clock. And I'm pretty sure I was 7, 8 years old. Barely starting to put things into long-term memory. But this thing just stood out so much because it reminds me of a summer rain. And it was just so fantastic. And it happened. It was so realistic that's what made the impression on me. And every time I'm anywhere near a storm, I flash back to that childhood event or those feelings, all the feelings that I've had just before the storm. So the show opens up. It's a room full of 100 people, maybe. I think they've expanded it now. It looks like it's a much bigger place, showcase. But you walk in, and it's just a grass hut looking thing on the inside with simple benches. I would say it looks like a church facing a stage. It's not really anything descript there. There's nothing that really stands out. And I start thinking, why are we here? What's going on here? Tiki hut. And few minutes go in, everybody gets seated. The lights start dimming. And then they had these, I don't know if they were screens or backlit. I can't remember how they did it, but all I can tell you is it looked like there were windows all the way around this round-ish tiki hut. And you could see daylight in the windows. So, you know, you could see light coming through the windows. And then about the time the lights started dimming, the windows started dimming too, and you could see the light is coming down in the windows. So it looks like this big bank of clouds is descending over the outside of the building. And you hear thunder. And all of a sudden, about this time, they turn the air conditioner on. It starts blowing cold air. And it was the most wonderful thing. Because number one, I'm hot. We walk in from outside, it's 98 degrees and a 98% humidity. We walk in, and about the time the storm rolls in from the sunny day, and it was a sunny day outside, and all I knew that those were windows, because I'm looking out. Now, it seemed like they were opaque, but then you see the clouds coming in, everything goes dark, you hear thunder, you hear this, you feel the breeze coming through, this cold breeze, and you're like, ah, this is so nice. And then you hear raindrops, and then about that same time, you hear birds start chirping, and then it's a symphony of birds, and then they start hitting these animatronic birds that come down from the ceiling, and there's birds singing all around you, and it's just amazing, and I've never forgotten that experience. And I try to portray that experience to people, and that's got to be the origin of my fascination with weather and storms and, you know, at least rain. But 7 years old, you know. 48 years ago. Stuck with me. Definitely. The rain lightened up a little bit. Started getting cold, so I figured it's probably time to ease on back to the house. I'm getting hungry. I'm a little bit cold. And I don't know how long the weather's going to last. I just assume it may get worse, actually, because I can't get internet down here, so I don't know what the forecast looks like, but I'm about to go back up to Brazil. Now, I would have to say that was pretty outstanding. That may be my go-to spot. I don't really have a go-to spot. I've got go-to trails. There's not a lot of open spots like that in the woods. That may be my go-to spot, especially when the weather's like this. I don't know that I would have enjoyed that. Sitting in the middle of the woods without the weather. I don't think I would have enjoyed that at all. Or maybe a little bit. I don't think I would have gotten out there and said, hey, there's weather not coming. Let me put up a tarp. So I don't see me even taking a chair out there. All those things that I did out there were because of the weather. So in other words, if there was no weather, I probably would have gone on a long hike. I probably would have gone fishing, period. Would have taken my fishing pole down to the river, and that would have been the end of it.